Shrek is love, I say. Shrek is life.
You're a monster. Welcome to the Council of Nerds.
The Council of Nerds.
Okay, welcome in everybody to the Council of Nerds podcast. I'm joined once again by our hosts Brian and Dan. We finally, we finally finished Harry Potter. We are done with that, and we are moving on to some better and weirder things. Today we're talking about what I believe is every single person on this planet's favorite franchise in the entire universe of franchises, which is Shrek. Weird,
I agree.
different.
I
You could
concur.
argue it's somewhat similar to Harry Potter in some ways.
There's magic.
Probably, yeah. But first off, I think it's really important to note that there's a Wikipedia fandom page for Shrek, and it goes deep.
Yes.
It's some
like,
weird stuff.
weirdly deep.
You can
yeah.
spend hours on there. A friend told me that you can spend hours on that website.
A friend told you?
Yeah.
A friend, yeah.
Yeah.
A friend told me that too.
Yeah.
It was weird, and I thought about it, and I believed him for like 3 hours of my life.
Mhm.
Plot twist, it was
Um,
me the whole time.
It was me, and I was on there. It's funny. You can literally they have like Wikipedia. They have like the blue highlighted words in a paragraph or whatever. You can click on them.
It's
has,
a
like-
rabbit hole, man.
It has like a family of every character. It's weird. It's very. If you want to go deep into Shrek, that's where you want to go. But yeah, so we're gonna start talking about Shrek today. I think the first thing we're gonna start off with is just favorite moments, because really though, jokes aside, Shrek is a great movie. At least the first two. I have only seen like half of the third one. I was trying to finish them before this, but didn't get to it.
I'm
But
guessing
the
you
first
haven't
two
seen
Shreks.
the fourth one.
No, I think I've seen parts, but I don't really remember much, unfortunately. Which to the audience will probably be like, "Oh, why are they talking about Shrek if they haven't even seen the whole thing?"
I haven't seen the fourth one either, if it makes you feel any better.
Okay, I will be. I'm going to watch them. I just
It's a
Didn't
future.
have
It's
time,
a
I didn't think
future
about it.
view.
It's a promise.
Yeah.
everybody knows that the first two are the most important ones anyway. So
Mhm.
we're gonna start with. Well, we're gonna say anything about all of them. Favorite moments. Let's start with Dan.
Okay, so I watched Shrek last night while playing Rainbow Six Siege with Brian.
Ooh. Hey.
It was impressive, and I think my favorite moments in Shrek are like those kind of more mature jokes. You know, the things that have a double meaning. You know, it means one thing. Like when they first see Duroc, Lord Farquaad's
Duloc.
castle.
Duloc,
That's
bro.
it.
Do you even Shrek? Do you even Shrek? Shrek is love.
I
man.
was
Shrek is
playing
life.
Siege
You're not
at
even
the
a
same
Shrekkie,
time.
bro. Come on.
Wow. That's
Um,
embarrassing.
But yeah, I like when Shrek says to Donkey, "You think he's compensating for something?" Because as a little kid, I was like, "It's because Lord Farquaad's short," and then as an adult, I'm like, "It's because Lord Farquaad's short." So I've liked that.
My favorite is Shrek's. He's just like.
Yeah.
Donkey just
Yeah.
stares at him like. And he's just like, okay, fine, let's move on.
Some people do think little of him.
those were good.
And if you didn't
yeah.
know, if you haven't seen Shrek, Lord Farquaad, who's the main antagonist of the first movie, is a short man.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I
Also, if you didn't know that, don't
Get
even
off.
be listening to this
Yeah, just
episode. at all.
Actually,
Yeah.
please do listen because we need more listeners.
That's true. That's very true.
Is that simping or?
No, we're good.
no. Mm-mm.
I enjoy. I think it's in the third one. The kid at the birthday party. He's just like, do the roar. Like that.
I love you,
kid.
Daddy. I love you, Daddy.
Like, it's so good, and I've seen so many memes. There's like this picture. There's like a video of this kid out there who does something stupid, and it was on the kids getting hurt Snapchat or Instagram or whatever, And he
The best
like
one.
someone took a still of the kid and was like, "Why does this kid look like he's about to ask Shrek to do the roar?" And it looks like he's got a bowl cut. He looks exactly like this kid, and all you hear in your head is "do the roar," and it's a fantastic moment.
These
I
movies
love you,
have so
Dave.
many good moments. These movies have so many good moments. It's hard to pick. I was thinking about, so I watched the first and second one yesterday, and it's been a long time since I've seen both of them, but man, they bring up so many memories. But I think my favorite moment is actually from the second one, and I don't know why I like this moment so much, but I love when Shrek finally, he's human. They need to break into the castle, and he gets the idea to make a giant gingerbread man to break in there, and he's like, "Hey, Gingy, do you still know the Muffin Man?" And he's like, "Of course. He's on Drury Lane." And then, like, they go there, and the Muffin Man's like, "Gingy!" And he's like, "Fire up the ovens, Muffin Man. We got a big order to fill." And that part kills me every time.
I love that. That
Oh, man.
that reminds
it's like
me.
the torture room scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan. What were you saying?
I was gonna say that too. I think that was my favorite part of the first one. He's like,
Do you know the Muffin Man?
the Muffin Man.
Muffin Man! Like he just like. Well,
my favorite
she's
part.
married to the Muffin Man. That whole cut, like, because it's just the nursery rhyme, but said in the dumbest possible
I know.
way.
I think that's my
The
favorite
dumbest,
part from the
funniest
first
way.
Shrek.
I just like when he spits on him. Eat me! And he just
Well, that part also has Farquaad, like, has both of Gingy's legs, and
Yeah.
he's like tapping them, and he's like, "Run, run, run as fast as you can." You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man.
and he gets like super intense. Like,
But like when he walks in too, it's like they're waterboarding him, but they're just dipping him in
giving
milk.
milk.
So good.
Could you imagine like being an actor on this movie?
Oh, dude, can you imagine just like acting or sorry, like designing this movie, like the artists for it and the
DreamWorks.
writers for this movie?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, that's a gold piece for them.
It's not
I
like
love it.
they had a freaking top shelf cast, in my opinion, for this.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
I am still a Mike Myers fan. I enjoy Austin Powers and all that stuff, and I've never not liked him. I always subscribed to his genre funny. Eddie Murphy was still funny when this movie
Mhm.
came out.
Cameron
Not
Diaz
a
was
huge
still
fan.
big.
I don't like Cameron Diaz as an actress, but I think that she was fine because it's just her voice and not her face. Sorry, was that out loud? And then they had John Lithgow for Farquaad, who is Barney's dad in How I Met Your Mother, and
Oh.
was it like Third Planet from the Sun or Third Rock from the Sun? That one sitcom show. He was the dad in that forever, and
Yeah.
he's been in a ton of stuff, and he was great for Farquaad. I hear it every time
Yeah.
I listen to it now. I'm just like, I know who you are now that I'm an adult. I know things.
Yeah.
Um,
Who played Puss in Boots again? What was that
It's
guy's name?
Antonio Banderas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's it,
love
yeah.
him.
Isn't it the second one where like the cops arrest Puss and they have
That's not mine.
He's like, catnip. It's like this.
Yeah.
Not mine. Like, he's just
That's
like-
not mine. Tonight on Nights.
Yeah. It's supposed to be like a cops commercial. It's so funny, dude.
And then, like, instead of pepper spray, it's just like ground pepper that they're just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
grinding up in his eyes. It's so funny. Oh, I love
And I
Shrek.
do
All right, well,
like
what's
that
your
it's-
favorite movie?
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I do like that it's the
Oh, yeah,
kingdom
go for
of
it.
far, far away, because you always hear in a
Yeah.
far, far away kingdom, and like it's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
the kingdom of far, far away.
It's so
But
good.
I would
So
say
creative.
I honestly I think the second one is my favorite one. Like I just find it funnier. Like
I
I
agree.
love the first one for like the nostalgia of it all, but there's just moments in the second one that really just make me laugh. Like I don't. It
Oh,
just,
dude.
Not that the first
It's
one
not
doesn't,
even-
But
It's like, so the second one's also my favorite. It first is a very close runner-up for me, but the thing I love about the second one, though, is just the little tiny details in the background. That's my favorite part, because like when they go to far, far away and they're like going down the street, there's like all the stores and stuff. Like instead of Versace, they have Versarchery, like archery, and then they have they had like what's it? Oh my gosh, why am I spacing it? I literally had it in my head. Whatever. They had like a bunch of those, like a bunch of companies that are really well known, and they all just changed the name. It's like Hollywood and all that stuff. I don't know. I love that movie. The first one though is, and if my brothers listen to this, they might know better. They probably know better than me. I can't remember entirely, but I'm pretty sure that Shrek was the very first DVD that we got with our very first DVD player
No
for
way.
Christmas. Yeah,
Back in
we got a DVD
2001.
player. Yeah, we got a DVD player for Christmas, and with the DVD player, it came with 2 DVDs, and we got Shrek, and I can't remember the other one, but Shrek is the one that I remember, and that might be
Shrek's
wrong,
the
but
only
that
one that's important. So
well, yeah, Shrek is love. Shrek,
Shrek
is
is
life.
life.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Dan, what's your favorite
Dan?
movie?
My favorite movie is also Shrek 2, and I think it's my favorite one because usually sequels let you down, right? They're not as good as the original one, but I like
Right.
Shrek 2 because it seems like they knew what worked in Shrek 1, what everyone liked, and they took that and they just like turned the dial up a little bit. Not enough that it's like overwhelming in your face, but enough that you're like, yes, I wanted more. They gave me more.
I feel like they knew what they could get away with. Like, they knew that like the adults, like, because like when you release a kids movie, you know how well it's doing with both audiences off of ticket sales, because just if it's at a certain number, you know it's not either. It's appealing. It's either not appealing to one group or the other. And I think Shrek is one of those few animated movies that really toes that line as an entertainment for adult viewers instead of like the Disney side of it, where it's like this is cute and adult viewers still find it cute. It was. There's still innuendo jokes and things like that in Shrek that you're just like, okay, this is Mike Myers. Like, this is still got this Austin Powers-y vibe. Like, you know, like, it has that comedy edge to it. Eddie Murphy has still got his funniness to him. And so I think that I agree with Dan that but I think what happened is they did jump the shark with the next movies. That they went way too far. And it got weird. I've briefly seen glimpses of the fourth one, and it's a weird time travel-y thing, and Fiona becomes like a warlord and all this weird stuff. And it's weird. It's very bizarre. And the third one is very muted comparatively in terms of the funniness. I think they tried to go more cute in the third one, and it didn't really work.
It seemed to be more like that typical sequel that we usually get in movie franchises, where you're like, they tried too hard. Like, it was just like,
The second one, they still focused on the formula that worked. Shrek, Donkey, and then Fiona, right? Those three being the center. When you get into the third one, people really love, like they do, they like the characters of Pinocchio and the Three Pigs and those characters, but they focused on them more in the third one. And not that they didn't in the second one, but they were still accent pieces to what happens in the second movie. The third one, there's a lot more. Then there was like a whole Puss in Boots spin-off and things, and which is fine. The universe is large, so
I have 2 things. The first one being Puss in Boots, the movie, is fantastic.
It is pretty
and
good.
Super funny.
It
It
is pretty
kills
good.
me. It's up there with Shrek 2 with me.
like the one cat.
I love the part when the Humpty Dumpty gets carried away by the crows, and he just puts his arms out, and they just like pick him up, and he just like stares
it's
down at them.
super
That part
creepy.
kills me. It's so weird. My second thing that I wanted to bring up, because you brought up how Shrek is so Mike Myers, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people already know this, but if you don't, Shrek was actually originally going to be played by Chris Farley, and they had actually recorded some lines with Chris Farley, but then he died. And so he obviously wasn't going to be Shrek anymore, and they got Mike Myers. And I love Mike Myers. I really do. And I love how he did Shrek. I thought it was perfect. I love these movies.
I didn't know that.
But you can go on YouTube and watch the clips that Chris Farley actually recorded, and it's just like these super basic like you know, frame by frame kind of animation, like pencil drawing kind of things, showing like, you know, what's going on in the scene or whatever, and then Chris Farley doing the lines. And it's weird. It is kind of weird because we're so used to having Mike Myers as our Shrek.
Was he doing an accent?
If I remember right, he didn't do an accent, or he did kind of do a little one. because it wasn't like a typical Chris Farley. Like it wasn't, Chris Farley, in my opinion, in all his movies has been like the same dude. Like he's got
Yeah.
like the Tommy boy, even like his little parts, like in Adam Sandler's movie, like in
Well,
Billy
I feel
Madison.
like it's the same
and
for
stuff.
David Spade and Adam Sandler. Like,
Yeah.
there's some exceptions, but generally they're the same. Like, they're the idiots that just make
Right.
movies. Like, that's just who
Right.
they are.
And it's weird because that's what I grew up on with Chris Farley, was just like, his typical character, but seeing his, or not, I guess not seeing him, but like the voicing and the acting for Shrek that he did is so different than what he normally did. But
I'll have to go
it,
find
it's
that.
not like it didn't fit. I felt like it did fit anyway, but it all happened the way it happened. Mike Myers did a great job, but I thought that was a fun little fact there.
That's cool.
Yeah, and well, now we got favorite moments. We got favorite movies. We all know that Shrek is got a lot of weird moments. A lot of weird moments. There's some whether it's just like the weird animation, because the animation, though it looks cool and it looks very detailed, it's kind of weird. If you look in the human's eyes, it's kind of creepy. So what are your guys', I guess, favorite weirdest moments, or the moments you think are the weirdest? We'll start with Brian.
The fact that a thing called a donkey exists inside of Shrek. Like, it's just so many things wrong with that in terms of biology and nature and I don't know how it works. I don't want to know how it works. Bothers me on
Don't
a
need to
different
question
level.
it.
Like, why aren't the babies, like, half the babies more dragon size instead of donkey size? Like, was it the easiest birth that she's ever had in her entire life? Because she's basically just like dropping
Well,
Skittles. Like,
Did
what?
she lay
It's
eggs?
ridiculous.
To quote Game of Thrones, the seed is strong.
Well,
Donkey he's good, man. Donkey's got it. I mean, that's why they're all more donkey than they are dragon.
that's probably
That's a pretty weird part.
That's probably my yeah. It's probably the weirdest moment for me.
Yeah.
By far. Yeah, I'll take
Yeah.
that.
Dan?
I would say, for me, in the very beginning, when like the mud gets splattered when it's doing the intro, I absolutely hate that part because it's so fake and it just like, well, the entire
It's
movie's
so
fake.
fake.
But it's just, I don't know.
It's not even
something
real
about
mud.
the animation.
Wow.
Yeah, it just like takes me out of the movie and I'm like, gross. And then
There's like
luckily
the
it's in the
maggots
beginning,
left
so I can
behind
get
that
back
make
in.
someone's name.
Mm-hmm.
See, when you brought that up, I thought you were going to bring up, like, he showers in the mud and you see his butt crack, and that's what was so weird. Seeing
I'm
this,
totally
like,
fine with
green,
that.
hairy butt crack. Yeah.
Dan's like, no, that's I rewind that part.
That's
I don't know what you're
normal.
talking
Yeah,
about.
that makes sense.
Oh, man. So, my weirdest part given I haven't seen the second half of the third one, and I haven't really seen the entire fourth one, I've only seen parts. But the half of the third one that I have seen has, for me, by far the weirdest Shrek moment. And to give a little context, Shrek was just told that Fiona's pregnant, right? But they had just like separated because Shrek was going to like get King Arthur or whatever. Well, my voice just cracked. And then Shrek.
I'm looking.
And
down.
so he's all worried. Shrek's all worried about being a father, but he falls asleep on the ship and he has a dream, and there's just like all these little baby Shreks, like hundreds of them, like swarming into the swamp, and he's like freaking out, and then like he thinks he thinks, and you also think, that he wakes up and he's like, Donkey, and he looks at Donkey, and Donkey's got a donkey body, but then his head is a baby Shrek or ogre, sorry, a baby ogre, and like he's like, and then he's like, Puss in Boots has a baby ogre head on as well, but the regular cat body, and he like freaks out, and then he actually wakes up. That part was weird, really trippy, and I don't really care to see it again because it freaked me out a bit.
Yeah,
It was
that's
weird.
kind of freaky.
Yeah, if you
I'm
haven't
skipping
seen
the
that,
third movie now. Thank you.
yeah, I wouldn't suggest watching it. It's weird, but there's a lot of good parts in the third one as well. I'm not talking crap about it. I just think it was weird. Well, with weird facts, believe it or not, there's a lot of fan theories. I guess not a lot. There's not a lot of fan theories, but there's a good amount, more than we suspected. There are fan theories for the Shrek franchise. I did not think it was a thing. I didn't think that. I mean, like I said at the beginning, there's a wiki Shrek. If there's a wiki Shrek, there's these fan theories. There's just so much involved in this stuff, and I know that we all have a couple. I think me and Dan have the same one, so we can just split those up. Um, I wanted to start with one that I found a little weird, and that is fan theory suggests that Fiona is actually a cannibal, at least when she was human. So the fan theory comes from a part in the first movie where when Shrek had already rescued Fiona, like they're still in the castle, but he got her from the tower and they're running around in the castle and stuff. And at one point they stop, and if you look closely, there's like this like a cauldron, and there's like a cookbook by it. And on the cookbook, if you look closely, there's like a picture of like a human, like a knight with like arms and legs spread out kind of thing. And then it like has these like dashed lines, and it's titled Prime Cuts. And the thing that makes people, you could argue like, oh, well, that's probably dragons. You know, dragon eats the humans and stuff. And then like Fiona eats the horses, and that's how she gets her food source. But before they cross the bridge, the horses' skeletons are there. They're left over there to die, basically. So she doesn't eat the horses. And then the cauldron's not giant. It's not like a giant dragon-sized cauldron. It's just a small cauldron up near the tower that has a cookbook that is being read by Fiona to cook humans.
Do you think that she waits until night so that she feels better about it, that she's eating them as an ogre?
I wouldn't doubt that.
'Cause I feel like if I'd just be like, okay, well, now I'm an ogre.
It's not the
supposed
same.
To,
Hold
squeeze the
on.
jelly from their eyes, like I'm supposed to. So
Actually, it's quite good on toast.
it's quite good on toast.
Yeah, so that's a really mini small fan theory. But I know
She
that
has
there's
to eat
these other-
something. Like
She has to eat something,
exactly.
and the dragon is chained up, so it's not like it can go hunting for her.
she's not
so
eating
their only
dragon
food
eggs.
source-
Come on.
I bet they share the food source.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They're
I
probably
bet she gets
homies.
the prime cuts. She gets the prime cuts, and dragon gets the leftovers because
Dragon is probably just upset that her homie was being taken away. Who doesn't
That's what
care
I was
about it? It's
thinking.
like,
Mhm.
my best friend.
Yeah.
Yo, my
Her
dinner
cook.
buddy.
Yeah.
My cook.
Yeah, so I know you guys have some slightly bigger fan theories, and they're more conversational, and that's what I want to talk about. So I'll leave those to you guys. So go for it, either one of you.
All right.
I'll go. You go.
We both talk at the same time every time.
That was very courteous.
I guess I'll do a quick one and then a more conversational one.
Okay.
The quick one is really self-explanatory, but it's actually that Shrek's name he just came up with on the spot in the first movie. If you listen back in the first movie when Donkey and him first meet, he goes, "So what's your name?" And Shrek goes, Shrek. Like, he's not super confident about it. He says before, like he's thinking of it. So I just find that funny that but then it leads to actually an interesting conversation of, does he actually have a name? Is he embarrassed by that name? Or does he not have a name at all and has to just make one up? Or is his name an ogre and you wouldn't understand it? I don't.
I want to apologize. Before going into fan theories, I forgot to do this.
This is where the fun begins.
I feel terrible. That's on me. But moving on.
Good grief. So that one's pretty self-explanatory. The other one that's a little bit more conversational is that the fairy godmother in the second movie is the one who put the curse on baby Fiona that makes her turn into a ogre at sunset. The theory goes very much as it is like prevalent in the second one, that her father, the king of far, far away, is indebted to the fairy godmother in some semblance. And so the theory goes that he had to have done something else in the past affiliated with the fairy godmother to tick her off, to the point where she cursed his only daughter, which seems to be a cumbersome task for her because maybe it was a fit of passion, but it's like now you want your son to be the king, and yeah, it just gets all
She's like a puppet master,
yeah.
basically. From what I read that theory, or I think some guy on YouTube talked about it at least, and that he basically explained it as, I kind of relate it to Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, how, you know, Emperor Palpatine was actually the puppet master to all this stuff. It's basically like that. Like she, well, and then this guy went into talking about kind of like a sub-theory to that theory, saying that Fiona's mom actually knew about that whole deal that happened between her husband and fairy godmother. And so to solve that issue, I don't remember how this is making it where, I mean, you can look it up. I wish we could just show it on here, but maybe soon. But she somehow was able to put Fiona's name in to the magic mirror that Farquaad uses to choose his bride-to-be at the time, knowing very well that he would choose her somehow.
And here they are.
Yeah, Bachelorette number 1.
Pick number 3, my lord.
Pick 3, my lord. Holding
Pick 3.
but yeah, so but yeah, so like she was involved, and she knew that Farquaad would have knights go and get her, not knowing that Shrek would be the one to do it, but he went and got her, and it was just a way to keep Prince Charming from having Fiona and then ruling the kingdom, kind of thing. Thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I watched a video. I read up on that theory too. Although it was like part of a bigger theory that like the fairy godmother wants absolute power because King Harold, Fiona's dad, is the king through marriage, and his true form isn't human. He was born a frog, kind of like, I guess, like Princess and the Frog. I haven't seen the movie, but there's a frog and a princess, pretty much. We'll get to that a different time.
I thought the frog from that fairy tale Princess and the Frog, I thought he was born a human and then transformed it, like cursed to be a frog.
Yeah, I was just looking at the cover art for it.
Maybe maybe the story for Shrek just switched.
Yeah, it probably is. But he was a frog who, you know, thought he was like a prince. Oh, there's this old movie. I forgot what it's called, but I watched it about this frog who's convinced he was a prince. But anyways, yeah. So he's convinced he was a prince. He made a deal with the fairy godmother to become human so he can marry the queen. And his side of the deal was that the fairy godmother would get, her son would marry his daughter so that she could get the absolute power, and that's Prince Charming. And I think that kind of like leads into like how they go way back, is he's a human because of the fairy godmother.
Well, that would make sense
Interesting.
because there's potions that Shrek takes that turns him human. So
Yeah.
maybe the fairy godmother's been plying him with potions or just used a permanent switching spell.
Yeah. Now, Dan, we both had this theory. This is the most, well, at least I found to be the most popular fan theory for the Shrek franchise. And it has to do with Donkey. So, Dan, why don't you go for that one?
Okay. I don't have anything written down. I'm going off of memory. Feel free to jump in. But
I'll help you out.
okay. This theory basically, it goes over like everything in Shrek. Everyone in Shrek pretty much comes from some fairy tale, you know, can be tied back to some fairy tale, except for Donkey. He's just kind of a donkey who can talk, which is unexplained. Until there's this fan theory, don't know who originated it. It's bouncing around. It might be still bouncing around. Anyways,
There's so many different versions.
The theory is basically because Pinocchio exists in the same universe as Shrek, and we know in Pinocchio there's Pleasure Island, it's called, right? when the kids there are turned into donkeys, and they slowly like lose the ability to speak, become more and more like donkeys, and then when they finally lose the ability to speak, they're shipped off to the mines, stripped of all their clothes and everything. And the theory is that that's where
Which,
Donkey
by
comes
the way,
from.
is like super dark for a
Yeah.
kids movie.
Yeah.
That they're just
Really
this guy has got like he's turning
Gross
them
and
into
creepy.
he's turning them into my favorite line, dense, irritating beasts of burden, and then shipping them off to be slave labor. Like, kind
It
of a
like made me
satire
scared to go to a carnival.
on, right?
I saw nothing wrong with it as a kid. I was just like, fun movie.
I want to be a donkey.
Yeah, but now going back, I'm like,
Yeah. This kid gets to smoke cigars. I want to be turned into a donkey.
yes.
All right,
Oh,
keep going, Dan.
yeah, and
Unless you don't know what to talk about anymore.
no. So I'm gonna go through like some evidence now in the films. There's parts in the films where Donkey will be talking, and then he'll randomly make like a donkey noise, and he's like, oh, it took a while to get rid of that, or it takes a while to get rid of that. Which, you know, kind of implies that he had to relearn how to speak as a human. And then there's also, whenever they make like jokes about clothes or anything like that, or Donkey will say he doesn't want to go there. He talks about how he used to get swirlies and wedgies, which obviously donkeys don't wear clothes. I'm sure they can get swirlies though, so there's that.
You ever tried to swirl?
But
a
yeah,
donkey,
like
Dan?
no, we
That's a
don't
good
need
point.
to talk about that.
Well, there go my weekend plans.
Yeah, and that's about as much as I remember from the donkey theory.
Yeah. So another one is that well, to go along, I think with when you're talking about him in the third one, he says that he used to get what are they called? Slushies, flushies,
Swirly.
Swirlies.
swirlies. I don't know why I said slushies or flushies. That is so stupid. Wow. Yeah, swirlies.
7-Eleven getting slushy.
Is it slushy? Yeah. But anyway, so along with that, Puss in Boots, when he asks, like, about that, like basically asking Donkey about his previous life, Donkey just says, and I quote, "Some things are better left unsaid," kind of leaving a little mystery behind it, which is weird. And then another bit of evidence is that I don't know what movie this is in. It doesn't say on the page I'm reading from of this theory, but I guess at one point Puss in Boots and Donkey switch bodies in one of the movies. I'm guessing the third or the fourth one.
Yeah.
And for some reason, when Puss is the donkey, he can't control his donkey hee-haws, which is very much like in the Pinocchio movie, where they're becoming donkeys. They slowly are unable to control it, and they just become full donkeys instead of the little boys they were. And so it was kind of reminiscent to that. Like, he just is like, hee-haw, like he just kept doing it, and he couldn't control it. But I think my favorite little part on this theory page is that at the very beginning, when it explains that, it says, the theory is Donkey is one of the boys from Pleasure Island in Pinocchio that was turned into a donkey. And then it says, wow, you cut us deep, Reddit. You cut us real deep just now, because that's a donkey quote. That's why I like it so much.
Cut me deep just there.
But yeah, I do have. Do you guys have any other fan theories that you want to say? I have like 2 fun facts. That aren't theories. They're just kind of little things.
I kind of got like one dealing with this donkey thing, and it depends on what you consider Shrek canon. Now,
Okay.
they come from a Christmas special of Shrek, which was actually nominated for a lot of awards, surprisingly. It had
It
all the
wasn't
original.
bad.
No, Shrek the
I've seen
Halls. It mentions Donkey's mom.
Such a good name.
It is. And then this other one's weird. There's a YouTube series on the DreamWorks channel called Swamp Talk with Shrek and Donkey, where they talk about.
That's not real.
No, it is. It's called Swamp Talk.
Dan,
There's like
Dan
60
went so
episodes.
deep into this.
There's
Dan
so
went
many.
hard, man. He was like, Shrek, I'm in.
Shrek
Yeah.
is alive, man.
Shrek is love.
He's love.
And in that episode, they go through like family pictures. It's like awkward family pictures. It's like 2 minutes long. And Donkey talks about 2 of his ancestors. One of them, his great-great-grandfather, is Donkey Sr. It shows a picture of him, who is credited with discovering the cure for like swamp fever. And then he talks about like his like great-great-great-grandfather or something, who is credited with the first case of swamp fever. And Shrek talks about, I think, his aunt, and his aunt is a frog, so that's kind of fun. And then that's all I have for that.
So
And
random.
I know.
I can't believe that Shrek has this deep of like of freaking franchise, of a universe, the
spider
Shrek
web, man.
universe.
The Shrek
It's
The
so
Shrekverse.
crazy. That's why I keep laughing. I just can't believe that that's a thing.
I have like one little, just like, it's not really much of anything other than it's just something that I appreciate is anytime there's an attempt to show a retelling of a classic fairy tale. So like Into the Woods, if you know that musical, has a very similar tone of these are the fairy tales you know and love, but with a very different twist to them and different reasons why certain things happen. And I like that about Shrek, that all of like the thought that all of these fairy tales happened in the same world, and then it just makes me think like these worlds end up colliding in Shrek's swamp. And one of my favorite moments that I wasn't able to talk about is when he's sitting there and the 3 blind mice are going at him. He's like, I found some cheese, and they bite his ear. And like then all of a sudden
Awful stuff.
he gets hit in the chest with this large object, and he just goes, oh no, dead broad off the table, and it's Snow White, like just a dead Snow White in her casket, and the dwarf's like, well, where are we supposed to take her? The bed's taken, and then it's the wolf from Little Red Riding Hood dressed as grandma. He's like, hey, like, and you're just like, it's so interesting that all these things are just happening at the same time, and I just love that. I think that all of us have heard at least a semblance of most of these fairy tales, and then to have them just get smacked up against each other really it's a funny concept, but not as funny when you realize that most of these fairy tales were actually written with a much darker intention.
Mm-hmm.
And if they were the real fairy tales, it would have been a bloodbath. But
Yeah, I mean, that's what Shrek did so well, is they took these very dark, they basically created a dark humor for children, which is
maybe that's why I'm the way I am.
Yeah, it's like that's probably why we're all the way we are.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Which
you,
is
Shrek.
okay, because I like it. It makes that movie hilarious. But speaking of the dark moments, one of the little fun facts that I found that is really dark and really sad is from Shrek 1, when Donkey's in line and the old lady's going to like give him, the knights are paying them for all the fairy tale creatures.
I'm the talkingest damn thing you ever saw. That moment.
Yeah, yeah. So they show the 3 bears, right? They show the mom, the dad, and the baby bear or whatever. And the baby bear's like, this cage is too small.
That's super
And,
sad. Yeah.
That's sad, but it gets worse. And then when all the fairy tale creatures are on Shrek's land, on his swamp, you just see baby bear and Papa Bear. You don't see Mama Bear. Until a few scenes later when they're in Farquaad's bedroom and she is now the rug.
No.
Which is one of the darkest things I've seen in a children's movie. Yeah, and it's even more sad when they show Papa Bear and Baby Bear on the swamp. They're both crying. Like, the Baby Bear's like crying and Papa Bear's like comforting him. But you don't see Mama Bear.
Logan!
And I thought that was terrible.
I was
and,
fine living in ignorance. Oh no.
It was, yeah, it's dark, man.
I thought you were gonna bring up that Pinocchio is sold by his own father. Like, I thought you were gonna bring up
No.
that, because that's sad as crap. I mean, you have Peter Pan about to sell Tinkerbell. Like, there's a lot of sad crap in that opening sequence, but not the murder of Mama Bear. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I guess the rogue was just right.
I mean,
Oh.
I don't know if this is the moment for this, but
If it was Mama Bear, it was too soft.
You made it funny.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I have
God.
this one too. I totally forgot about this one.
Shut up.
So, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
and then
my world is
that's-
shattered right now.
That one said, this one's a little bit of a fan theory mixed with just kind of, it's not a fun fact because it's not a fact. It's just a theory. So yeah, here's a fan theory I forgot. There's a lot of, like, argument on when Shrek and Donkey both take the, that potion, the happily ever after potion that makes them all beautiful and also their love beautiful. There's a lot of arguments on what dragon became, right? Nobody knows
Oh.
what dragon became because Donkey became a stallion, Shrek and Fiona both became humans. One argument I saw is that, well, if Shrek and it basically the potion turns you to the most beautiful thing that is relatable to yourself. So for Shrek and Fiona, humans were the closest things, I guess, to them that were beautiful. To Donkey, it was a stallion, right? And so they were like, they theorized that dragon, the closest, most beautiful thing to a dragon, is a phoenix. I didn't like that
I
one.
was gonna say dragonfly. I'm
Um,
dumb.
but the one I liked the most, and the reason I liked it is just because it doesn't necessarily say, like, on the potion. All it does is say, like, that it'll give you beauty divine. And whether that is up for interpretation for the potion or interpretation for the being who takes the potion, I think, or the theory I read, sorry, not me, is that dragon became a Pegasus. Because to dragon, the beauty it wants to be, I guess, is closer to donkey and to be more like donkey. And donkey became a stallion. And so she became a Pegasus, which makes sense. She's a dragon. She flies, but she also wanted to be more like donkey. So it's like a horse kind of thing. I thought that was cool. I thought that was fun. These guys are losing focus and dancing on the screen. So I think we're at a good moment to end off this episode. Okay, never mind. Dan has something to say.
That remind me of a fan theory that I read that we haven't touched on.
Okay, you got 2 minutes.
I got two. I don't need 2 minutes. Basically, the fan theory is that the dragon is also a princess, like Fiona, trapped in the castle there. She's got lipstick, right? She's a girl, and she grabs really hard onto Donkey, and basically falls in love with him. Why? True love's kiss. True love's kiss will change her back. She's like Fiona, but she was cursed all the time instead of some of the time. But just like Fiona, when she kissed Shrek, she stayed as a ogre. When the dragon and Donkey kissed, which I'm sure they did, I'm really glad that they never showed that. And she stayed the dragon. And then one more fun fact in the beautiful movie, I think it's Monsters vs. Aliens, the greatest movie of all time. The general W.R. Monger, which now looking back is definitely sounding like Warmonger.
Warmonger. Yeah.
Warmonger
He's got a
from,
special badge on his chest right here. It's a picture of Shrek.
on his chest, for everybody who's wondering. He has a
Oh,
picture
yeah.
of Shrek on his chest?
Yeah, he's got a little Shrek badge. It's got like wings around it.
Oh,
It's cool.
that's so nice. Well, on that note, we're going to finish off this episode all about Shrek. Honestly, I found it actually weirdly interesting that I was going on the Shrek wiki, or Wiki Shrek, because it was weirdly interesting. I don't know. It just grabs you, man. It gets you in.
I think it's so cool.
Be careful. It is pretty cool, actually.
Just proof that we are not just your conventional nerds. We will talk about the weird nooks and crannies of the nerd world. So
And there are a lot of them.
Let's explore
So-
them all together, shall we?
Okay, so thank you for listening. That was weird. Check us out on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts, Anchor, YouTube, a lot of other podcast places. Also, please join our Discord. We're going to be adding a Shrek channel, of course, after this. We might as well. We're going to have some deep combos about Shrek in there.
Yeah.
The Discord is called the Council of Nerds. If you can't find it, make a comment on YouTube or on our Instagram, and we will send you the link for it. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back next week with some other weird, random topic to talk about, but we will catch you on the next one. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye bye.
The Council of Nerds.